Welcome into 11 Personnel, presented by Monticello Bank. Nick Roush and Adam Luckett here with you on another Hump Day edition of the show, where I want to start, I got to start by apologizing for having that on the background. We're going to hear a little Matt Jones trivia night probably in the background from Mr. Luckett. So I want to start by saying I used to really enjoy when we got to do this show, Luckett, and we just got to preview a football game where we didn't know what was going to happen one way or the other. We just got to talk about the football game. Unfortunately, that's not really been the case the last year or so, and it's not a lot of fun. So I just wanted to preface it with that because Texas is playing at Kentucky for the first time ever, and it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really feel like it. Now, they might go out and give them some hell on Saturday night, and I kind of have a feeling that they will give them some hell. But I hate that we're going to do an hour-long show before Kentucky plays Texas for the first time at Kroger Field. They've got a Manning in at quarterback, and actually there is a path where another team showed them how Texas can be susceptible to an upset in this sort of situation. But instead, we're going to spend the first, 45, 50 minutes talking about a bunch of other stuff because that's where the program is right now. It's not in a great place. It's unfortunate, but we know that's what you want to talk about. So we're going to let it rip. We're going to share our thoughts on a myriad of situations from Stoops Virginia Tech to Mitch Barnhart and also a recruiting development that was eye-opening. We'll get to all that and more, but first I need to tell you about our friends at Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. They've been ride or dies with us for a long time. They've been ride or dies for the Commonwealth for more than 125 years. At Monticello Bank, it's where people matter, whether you want to unlock the equity in your home, finish a new project, or whatever you want to do. They'll take care of you, help you buy a new home, help you buy a car, whatever it may be. Monticello Bank, they'll take care of you. Because at Monticello Bank, it's where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Mr. Luckett is at the KS office above KS Bar, and there's some KS trivia happening, and you just had some KS football coverage. Availability report came out, and cats are pretty healthy, Luckett. No, we don't have to go through and list off a myriad of issues. There's quite a few people out, but DJ Waller back, Zach Calzada back, and Jaden Smith probable. So all in all, not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I had to move my seat here, Nick. There's a light in the parking lot that is flashing. I felt like I was in a nightclub while I was sitting there. I didn't know what was going on. Matt is talking about 8 transfers. Name 8 transfers with the name L that played in Conference USA at trivia. So there's a lot going on in here right now.
That light is it. I really don't even know how to properly describe how awful that light is. It's a giant parking lot light, and it is flashing like a strobe light. I mean, it's nauseating. It really is. I hope there's nobody with
if you were going to build a nightclub outside, you would have that light. That light would be there. So you could sell that light to someone in Vegas. They would come pick it up right now, take it out there for their nightclub. But yeah, it is. Earlier I was like, what is that? What? Am I seeing something on my computer? What's going on?
Well,
I didn't realize that was still broken out there.
There were some guys that were working on that parking lot too, and they were using that light as their light to finish the job. I'm like, how are you all just living with this? I can't stand it, but hopefully you can stand us for the next hour or so. I was curious if Texas would include the guy that quit the team on their availability report. They did not. Was he the third string running back, or how? I saw he did kickoffs. I don't know how much he actually rotated in with Wisner and the other guy.
Yeah, I think he was RB3 or RB4. Wisner's their starter. CJ Baxter,
there we go.
And he's doubtful for this game. He kind of came back, but he's coming off a knee injury, so maybe some lingering things there. The big takeaway, Nick, Cole Hudson, their starting center, is out.
Oh,
So they're not going to have this. Arch is going to have a new center for the first time on the road. So that's something I think to watch, see how they handle that. And then Ron Watson's one of the best defensive tackles. He's questionable. So those are kind of the two injuries I would watch for Texas. But, yeah, I mean, this will be Manning's third road start, so you're not getting the first kind of game jitters, but he is going to be playing with a new center because Hudson started the two other road games, Ohio State and Florida.
Maybe we can get to a path for Kentucky to pull off the upset by the end of the show, but we do need to get into the meat and potatoes of what everyone wants to talk about. And it feels like every day there's been some random weird piece of news. This might be the calmest day of the week so far. And it's still been kind of a busy one. So let's start with what the people wanted us to go live whenever it broke, but it was, I don't know how much you can go live off of a 24/7 site, including Mark Stoops among their list of candidates among the people in the mix there for that head coaching vacancy. Before we get into the weeds of it, I just want to remind people of two things. One, this is going to be a 2.5 month long coaching search at Virginia Tech. Like this isn't the names go on the boards and then you find out like a week later that something's happening. They aren't hiring a coach until the season's over. The season has 7 more weeks in it. They fired their coach like 3 weeks ago. Luckett's already bet on them 3 times with the interim coach, okay? So, like, this is a long, 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 long way to go. But Mr. Luckett, it was nevertheless startling when we did see his name attached to the job in some capacity. What was your first reaction when you saw that report on VT Scoop?
I said, wow, out loud. I said, this is quite interesting. And then I texted you. Virginia Tech search is a mess, Nick.
It really is.
They don't have, like, their AD is powerless. They're going to fire him eventually. They just haven't done it yet. So instead of doing the right thing and maybe like getting rid of him before making a coaching change, they basically asked 3 rich people and 2 former football players and their old defensive coordinator to hire a coach. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some unpredictability of this search. They asked all these people to sign NDAs.
Which is also fascinating because how does that get enforced? I've never heard of a coaching search be like, you have to sign an NDA. That's, stuff always gets out.
So you don't know who's running what, who's leading the charge. I just thought it was interesting. Like, this search at Virginia Tech, Nick, is going to be very unique because they're probably going to, like, they do not want to hire a coordinator without coaching experience. That's like number one. We cannot do that again because we just did that with Brent Pry. So It takes a lot of what I would classify as their best candidates are completely off the table.
Yep.
They want to hire someone with coaching experience. So that's either you got to hire a G5 coach now, to me. And I think you can make the argument that some of these G5 coaches at the top of the list might have better options at Virginia Tech. Or you've got to hire a coach like Stoops. So I think, I don't expect Mark Stoops to be their next coach. He definitely won't be their next coach if Kentucky goes 4-8, 3-9. I think like everyone expects. But if they win a couple games, I can see that. I think it's more realistic than people, I think, probably realize when looking at that because the uniqueness of the search, the criteria of what they're looking at, it's created a situation where I think Stoops could kind of weasel in. Or wiggle his way in there. But the big takeaway, Nick, from this is now the second time in less than 2 calendar years Mark Stoops has shown up on a media list like this. Last time it was Billy Lucci saying, oh, Mark Stoops, like, watch him. This is a name 2 to watch in the search. And then now it's this one where people are saying, hey, they're talking about him behind the scenes. It's just twice in less than 2 calendar years. When you play, there's danger in playing this card when you're at a place like Stoops is. There's specifically a lot of danger in that if you were planning to come back at all next year. Yeah. So it's Brian Windhorst meme season. So the thing with these coaching searches, everything happens for a reason. The hard part is figuring out what the reason is. If you can figure out what the reason is for all these moves, then things make a lot more sense. These coaching searches are not as complicated as people probably think they are. It's like, hey, we got 6 guys. Who do you like best? All right.
Yeah.
Come coach State U. Here's $8 million. So I just think it's a little possible. But the biggest, and I think most people have had this takeaway, the biggest takeaway or the biggest kind of development to me is just they're playing a game here, I think, where it's just kind of, a little dangerous. And I think it seems like the writing's on the wall that he's trying to get out. Now we've got multiple different instances of where he's trying to find an exit strategy here at Kentucky to get out of Kentucky.
Yeah, and that was my main takeaway. And it shouldn't surprise anyone that he's looking for a way out because he has been for a while. And in fact, it should encourage people that he's looking for a way out, or at least when Luckett says the word "they," the "they" is Jimmy Sexton, his agent, who's at CAA. Which that was one of the first things I did. Is you mentioned Bruce Arians was in the coaching search. I was like, let's see if Bruce Arians is a CAA guy. Oh, turns out he is. Right, like that's an easy phone call from old Jimmy to Bruce. They're like, hey, you should think about Mark for this. I think generally speaking, Luckett, like this is a decent job because ACC is the chaos league. You can win pretty quickly, and they care about football a lot there. That's one of the few schools that actually cares about football in that league, that shows up and the fans support you. So they do have that going for them, but they're also way behind on NIL and investment, and in part of firing Prize also making this like, hey, we're actually going to spend money on our football program again, sort of pledge. So, but hey, as you pointed out on KS board, you know somebody who's got a lot of experience fundraising.
He tells you about it. Mark Stoops.
I ultimately doubt it would happen, but the possibility of this thing getting sideways is very high. And you also mentioned like you would have to hire a G5 coach. One of those likely candidates is Ryan Silverfield. I can guarantee you that they're not hiring another former Memphis head coach after the Justin Fuente experiment.
Yeah, so then that gets you down to John Summerall and Alex Golish.
Yeah.
Summerall's not taking the Virginia Tech job, and Golish very well could find a better job. Like I would bet that he finds a job better that he would see as better than Virginia Tech. Yeah. So then you're because in the net something like Manny Diaz, like to me, I look at it, he's on the list, Nick. Why would Manny Diaz, who's winning at Duke, leave Duke for this Virginia Tech job that's going to need a rebuild where the resources are they real? How much better are they? Like you look at Duke, they've won 9. I think they've won 9 games 3 or 4 years in a row. So why would he leave at this job where he's doing that to just do that already? And Duke
he's getting money to pay a quarterback.
Right. Duke just gave him $6 million to get a quarterback. So why would he? I don't understand why he would leave. So then you're in a situation. Would James Franklin go there? Maybe. But guess who James Franklin's old defensive coordinator was? Brent Pry. Guess who Virginia Tech just fired? Brent Pry. So that doesn't really make much sense. So I'm just looking at Virginia Tech, and I'm just saying, well, this is kind of a mess. And I'm from the position of I've always said this. Anyone that's listened to the show knows I've said this. I've said this on message board. I've said this on Twitter. Whenever the conversation for Stoops leaving comes up. Nobody in their right mind is going to hire a 4-8 Kentucky coach to be their leader of their football organization. But this isn't a right mind coaching search. This is you brought up the Clark Griswold, the Nut House. This is what Virginia Tech search is, at least what it's been so far. We'll see what happens if someone takes the reins and kind of steers us in the right direction. But it's a search that it could get a little wonky, and that's the search like – Stoops is probably going to find a landing spot. It's going to have to be, I think, something like this. So it's just something I don't think to just totally throw away. Again, I wouldn't predict him to be there, but we're going to have a lot of this. You mentioned there's 7 football games, 7 college football Saturdays left in the regular season.
It's a lot.
So there's a season everyone has to get there, and a lot can change. More jobs are going to be open, and we've reached kind of here at Kentucky – kind of it wasn't a vote of confidence, Mitch's comments, but it kind of was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just going to be an interesting ride. I think these 7 weeks, if you're not on the message board yet, this is my pitch to you. You need to be on there. This is where this stuff goes down. You need to be on KS Board. So sign up, get over there.
UK1.
This is why the football gods created message boards through this stuff right here. Like this is where we mingle. This is where we talk. This is where we figure stuff out. You'll be the first ones to know. There's stuff we can say on there that we can't say publicly, both on the podcast and in social media. So get to KS Board.
I want to get to Mitch's comments and sort of parse through theirs, but first, you mentioned other openings. Matt Hayes of USA Today had the report that basically they're rounding up the money and Billy might be done going into the bye week. Very odd timing to have a report like that out, like a legit report. Like this isn't just on the message board, people saying things are happening behind the scenes, right? I saw one tweet about that. Things are happening behind the scenes in Gainesville. Very oddly timed. And I almost wanted to play Mississippi State going into this weekend, Luckett, but now I'm worried that they might win one for the Gipper, rally around him.
Yeah, I made my little list today, and they were also Mississippi State plus 9.5.
That's a lot of points.
Was on that list. Yeah, that Florida team's hard to get a read on, at least for me. I mean, I still feel like Napier has support of kind of the administration, but I think some of the money people are talking down there and are ready for.
Yeah.
And before he does what he did last year.
I think they also, the biggest thing that the Franklin firing did is it reaffirmed other rich boosters that okay, at least we're not spending as much money to fire James Franklin. We're not the biggest buyout this offseason. We're not going to look too stupid having to pay this. So that's something to keep your head on a swivel as we move forward. We'll talk about that game tomorrow. There's a first time we've ever had a complete slate with 8 SEC games on a Saturday. So we'll have a lot to talk about on Thursday's edition of Pigskin Preview. And I do want to briefly talk to you quickly about our friends at Game Time. You're probably thinking about it, right? Like, hey, it's going to be a nice Saturday. This weather's been great. The rain's probably going to hold off. GameTime.co or download the Game Time app. Go check it out. Check out the tickets for Texas, Kentucky. They're still available because our friends at Game Time, they have the best platform to get tickets for anything you want, whether it's Adam Sandler Thursday at Rupp Arena, whether it's I don't know how many country concerts Luckett's wife is going to at the Yum Center in the next
a lot
3 weeks.
Not with me though, so
yeah,
fine with it.
Whatever it may be, Game Time, it's your one-stop shop for all of your ticketing needs. Just download the Game Time app, swipe, tap, go with Game Time. Use code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. That's promo code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time when you use promo code ON3. Swipe, tap, go. Get your tickets delivered directly to your phone with Game Time. Mr. Luckett, there was a lot to take away, a lot of quotes that we could potentially highlight from Mitch's statements is the questions he answered after that Champions Blue board meeting. Which one jumped out to you the most? Because some of it was like him, Mitch has to detail the whole history of Kentucky football, like him right from the jump. Kentucky football, we battle through it. I want to be like, no, Mitch, we don't. We just lose through it. Like, what are you talking about? We suck for like forever. So I don't know what you're talking about. But point being, what part jumped out to you the most, Mr. Luckett, from the long sort of word salad that we got from Mitch? What jumped out to you?
Yeah, to me, Nick, I think you have to go back to Mitch's comments on Media Day back in August. And basically it was like winning is important. Winning matters. I think, which was kind of setting the stage for like last year was called it a little low or whatever, but like we've got to get back to where we were, was kind of his statement. And this one was the most interesting comment to me. Mark has been a great developer of talent, Barnhart said. If you look at the guys that have gone on from this program, he has developed talent incredibly well. We're trying to figure out the balance of making that adjustment between developing and ready to play. But there's a difference in that. And so we're finding a way to how do you marry those two pieces up and still have an opportunity to be the program everybody wants you to be. Okay. This is what it means to me. Kentucky football is not good at roster building right now. They are not good at doing the high school thing and then doing the portal thing and melding them together. That is something they have struggled at, and that is something that's been, I think, ultimately their biggest problem. Now, before this year, Nick, before the 24, I think you could blame some of it on not having the funding. But they had dollar bills this past offseason. So there was funding this past offseason, and it's looking like they missed right through 5 games. Mostly on offense, like almost entirely on offense. Like they've had to press the abort button at QB. Sounds like they're ready to press the abort button at wide receiver and play freshman. They thought, if we spent all this money on the offensive line, it would fix that, our biggest problem, which in turn, by fixing that, would fix all of our other problems. Hasn't done that. There's a guy that's not playing on the offensive line that's making a lot of money. So you've got him, the starting quarterback, on the sideline not playing. That's a lot of money that could have, that you're spending on players that aren't playing. So I think, to me, that was a big kind of statement, because I wrote about it last week, kind of what my 10 thoughts on the program and what kind of the big problems are. Just recruiting and roster building in totality is just an issue for them. And they're just not doing a good enough job in that regard. And that is ultimately, I think, everyone wants to focus in on the offense, the offensive coordinator churn, yada, yada. And I think part of their struggles there have a lot to do with it. But mostly they're not building rosters good enough.
So what are they doing well, Luckett? Because basically
they're getting back to work. Is that what you want me to tee up?
In that,
nothing.
Maybe,
they're not doing much well right now. There's not much you can point to. There's nothing you can point to say, well, they're close. A flip is coming. Like, this is not a Florida situation last year where Lagway came in and you thought he could give you the spark. There's not much to point to. That all the arrows are pointing down.
Yeah, except you do have that with a quarterback, but he doesn't have anybody to throw to, and he's not as good as the quarterback that you mentioned already.
And he's a quarterback that you evaluated and realized, all right, we need to sit him for a couple of years, play him in year 3.
Yeah,
having to play him early. He's done some good things. Cutter's done some good things.
Right.
If there's gonna be any sign of hope, I think, going into next year, even if there's a coaching change, it's gonna have to do with him. And we're gonna that's probably the thing we're gonna learn most over these last 7 games is just where they are at quarterback with Cutter Boley. But yeah, there's not much good going on. The recruiting this year, Nick, has been that was as dead of a recruiting cycle as they've ever had.
They struck gold with one Ponatoski.
Yeah.
And I think, for me at least, it helps. And now all of a sudden, I don't know if the boards I don't know. It's been a technical difficulty kind of day for me the last little bit. But whenever sometimes you just need a good, healthy perspective from the outside looking in. And yeah, I think our website's just broken right now. I don't know. But I wanted to pull up the quote of the guy, Paul Wadlington, at Inside Texas. He does a little bit of what you do. right, with like the scouting reports of here's what they're kind of cooking with. And some of the stuff on there, yeah, a little bit just like, let's take a shot at them, especially the special teams ones. Like Stoops is the kind of guy to punt on 4th and 4 from the other team's 43, but also kick a field goal down a touchdown from the 2-yard line. That made me laugh. Like I kind of had to just laugh through the pain. But the other part that just like some of the stuff is basic common sense. Like if you're going to lean into your offensive line and you've got this one guy who you think's the future, and you want to run the ball, why didn't you go get a running quarterback in the portal and just like do the wing T stuff? That, I mean, is it that? What's so hard about that? Isn't that what Bush wanted to do anyway? Isn't that why he brought in Gavin Wimsatt? Like, just bring in somebody that's better than Gavin Wimsatt. I don't. Oh gosh, Matt, he is really on it right now. But like some of the stuff just from the outside looking in, it hits you like a ton of bricks. That hey, this is when you hear coaches say this is your typical Kentucky defense, is that a good thing? Or is it stale? Is it the same old, right? Like that's the part that's frustrating with it all. And that's what I got from Mitch's comments. The one that really popped for me was, and that's why I don't know if you could necessarily call it a vote of confidence or not, was that when he mentioned, it was like, hey, so what's going on? Well, we know Mark is hard at work right now. They're working really hard and we need to support him. We need to support him good. I don't what am I supposed to do with that, Luckett? Like can we beat another drum besides back to work? Because like I would like to have something tangible to try to hold on to, because I can't whenever I break it all down, like you said, the arrows are all turning down. Do they know that? And so they just say back to work, or like or are they as confused as we are? And so they just say back to work. Like I can't understand why they keep saying back to work. And like we're working hard, we're gonna work hard. Is that really gonna fix it?
Yeah, back to Mitch's statement, I think how I kind of perceived it, Nick, was that, hey, I'm not firing them during the season.
We're going to support them and let them ride this out.
Yeah.
Sort of deal.
And also, like, if Stoops is trying to get another gig, does he even do the Gus Malzahn thing? Malzahn resigned and took the Florida State offensive coordinator job the day after their last game. Like, is that even on the table? But yeah, I think to get back to work, they don't have any answers. They don't have answers, right? Basically, like Bush Hamden went from defiant, damn good offense to pretty much saying like, yeah, we got to make it simple. They're young, playing a bunch of young guys.
Well, the
plan didn't work. The plan didn't work, and they didn't really have a good second plan. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Because for me, the messaging, I got really like I'm in between a rock and a hard place, because I'm just sick and tired of it, as you all are, right? Like when I asked Stoops what the team's identity was, they're a hardworking group and they're united. That's not an identity. It's just not. It's a bunch of bull crap. Okay. So I wrote, like 500, 600 words, just really just crushing them. And then I go and I talk to the players, and maybe they are really united and hardworking. I think the part that, so like on the one side, I'm like, well, maybe they do like weather some of this bullcrap and they still do show some fight later. But maybe they're also like, I think the part that irritates me, Luckett, is that it doesn't seem like anybody's pissed off and trying to change anything. Like you got one moment of Bush Hamden and everything else has just been, we're working hard. And some of that irritates me because I know they're all making money over there. They're all making money. Players, everybody's making money. And when they do this, when this is all you're getting from them, they're essentially saying, judge us on our results, right? It goes back to what we talked about at SEC Media Days. Like I think the good people of this state would appreciate that I've just gone back to work. Well, Mark, if you do that, you're going to be judged on your results. And those results suck. They suck real bad. They've given themselves no out. And the part too that bothers me, Luckett, is like, I know they're in a tough spot, particularly Mitch Barnes. Like Mitch has to really toe a line, and he's word salad Mitch, so like I'm not going to hose him too much to the fire. The thing with Stoops is like, by doing this, it doesn't sound like he cares that much. And what I mean by it is like, he's not trying to convince anybody that he's trying to save his job. Like there's not some sort of like if I'm Brian Daboll, right? I say, we got this new quarterback, this young core. You got to keep me here. Like we're really building something here. Like Stoops has done none of that to just be like, hey, we had to hit a hard reset button. It was some serious roster mismanagement. He'll say like I kind of messed up a little bit with NIL, and like that's as far as he'll go. But like in order to buy goodwill, you have to like lay out a plan moving forward for how we're going to fix this. And right now the plan has just been, we're doing the same thing with different players. Let's hope it works. And like, you could convince people that like the plan is to build around Cutter Boley and like, hey, we figured out some of the offensive line stuff, like figured out the run game. That's not like there's no try. There's no try. And like it could be so much better. They're in a tough spot, but it could be done so much better. And that's the part that's really concerning to me, Luckett, is that it's just like, well, we're gonna go out there again and we're gonna work hard. We're gonna go back to work. Like, how do you wake up every day and go back to work and just get punched in the face time and time again? That's what they're doing. It's just beating their head against the wall.
A couple things I'd like to add to that. You're fireman, essentially. You're the guy you sent to talk to fans, to have those relationships, left your program in June for your arch rival.
Yep, he did.
You responded to that by just saying, no big deal.
No, didn't show up and like do like some sort of Spitfire interview and call Vince a bum and no, just wish him luck. Wish him luck.
Nick, in recruiting, their in-state recruiting is just like, it's almost like it's not even happening right now.
They had some kids show up for the Ole Miss game, and that was kind of their participation trophy.
It's almost like it's not even happening. Okay. The offseason was, I thought it was just a disaster. How they handled it, I thought, was not the way to go about it. And I think you hit the nail on the head with like, why aren't they going out and like, does he even want to be here? I think the obvious answer is probably the most likely answer in this, that it's just the end and we're waiting out the end date at this point.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
All the signs tell us this is ending.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. It's just how they separate.
And how bad does it get week to week until that point?
How are you supposed to read it any way different? I think it's impossible. There was a lot of criticism throughout the offseason, early season, but he lost this fan base for that South Carolina game. That was, people were hanging on, looking for that point you just made, like rally
the troops.
I'm fighting. Like, we're in this together. We're going to get out of this. And it never came. And then you had the South Carolina game, and people were just like, I'm done with this. To see, like, I'm just done with this. And so we're in a situation now where they have 7 games left, really 8 games left. They've already played one. You got through the bye week. And now you're looking for just how it ends, and then what direction everyone goes in. That's just what it feels like. But there's a $38 million buyout due within 60 days that he is owed. And so how do they figure that out? And I know there was a lot of talk this week about Mitch and the extension. I don't care about the extension. Mark Stoops earned that extension. Kentucky was right in extending him again. Even though they extended him in 21, they were 5-0 in 22. They were number 7 going to Ole Miss for one of the biggest games in recent Kentucky history. Every fan would have ran through a wall for Stoops at that point. His agent played the leverage card. Kentucky decided to extend them. I don't really have an issue with that. The issue is with just the structure of the buyout.
Yeah.
How could Mitch not get out from that?
Yeah.
That is ultimately where that's why everyone feels hostage in this situation.
But you couldn't even do a 50% lump sum up front, because that's what
Napier has. Yeah.
A lot of people have asked, how common is this? And I went back. Gus Malzahn's the obvious one. His was due within like a week of him being fired.
Yeah, but his wasn't. I don't think his was 100%. I think his was like 50 or 60%.
I know with Muschamp, they spent quite a bit of coin to fire him, and he negotiated a smaller number to get a lump sum, but he wasn't going to get one. Because really what this is they're basically guaranteed contracts where you just have to keep paying a second coach in most cases. The fact that they let them get into this pickle is damning. And the part that I think probably enraged quite a bit of people that Mitch didn't have to say, but he said anyway, was that I'm proud of that. Like, you can kind of explain how it happened without saying I'm proud of that. Because my man TJ was fired up over that.
And I also think Mitch wouldn't talk right now because I don't think he can't really say anything right now. That's he could have answered that better. But in a perfect world, he wouldn't be talking right now. But they're having these board meetings that are public, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he stops talking after this.
I know there's one on the docket for the day of the UK U of L basketball game. So that's the last one while the football season's still ongoing. Yeah.
So again, it's better than nothing. I'm glad he's come out and talked a couple times or 3 times now, I think.
Yeah.
That's 3 times more than we used to get him there for a few years.
Yeah.
But it feels like he's the only one talking in big picture about how the program is going to move forward.
That's true. And I think if we bring it back to the actual football side of things, one red flag that we probably should bring up, Luckett, I think the most surprising text, even more so than the Virginia Tech thing, was the commitment this afternoon from one Justin Hartley, who under the radar is not even the right description for Justin Hartley, the new 2026 commitment. He's underneath the radar. We used to joke about Kentucky beating Akron and Mac schools for commits at the end of Joker era. Kentucky was his first FBS offer, and he just committed on the spot. And they said it was committable. He said, yes, please. I would much rather go there than
without
Alabama
visiting.
State.
He hasn't visited Kentucky yet.
He basically was getting offered by a bunch of HBCUs. It was like Florida A&M, the Hornets in Alabama.
Alabama State.
Yeah. SEMO. But they got a Hoover edge. And I know we have some commitments that are you get them at the right time to rally the troops. I don't think this one's rallying any troops, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, I haven't watched the tape of this kid. I don't really want to say really anything, but
yeah, but when you just see, we didn't have a profile for him. I had to make him a profile. There was just,
but yeah, it's those are the type of commits, Nick. That kid might actually be a good player. He might be able to turn anything, but you could have got him in December, right? That's usually like remember how they added Devontae Ross late,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like a December thing.
Yep.
I believe Noah Matthews, wasn't he late? Wasn't he like December edition?
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a late ad typically.
But you need some good news though. So let's go get a commitment.
Yeah, I mean,
bang that drum.
It's bad. I mean, it is very, very bad. It is a PR nightmare for them right now, to say the least.
Hey, they're at least emphasizing tackling again, you know.
But like honestly, we're going to these things, Nick, and I don't like. It's hard. Like tackling came up. A couple people asked. I think 2 or 3 of us asked about tackling, so I don't even want to put it on them for talking about it. But it's like, what do you say? What do you ask?
Yeah,
It was tackling and Arch Manning today. That was what we thought. That was what was asked.
And you can only ask how do you keep your stuff together, right? Like how do you keep your heads up? Like you can only bang that drum every once in a while.
And then Brad White today said what they've really said all year. And I don't think they're lying to us when they say this. Like, it's been good energy at practice. The guys are still locked in. They're still, they're still working every day and doing everything we ask. Like Mark Stoops even said, they called him united or whatever. I do believe that. I just don't think I think they've built a team with how they're structured. It's just not. The pieces aren't in place to win games.
And herein gets to the biggest picture problem of them all. Let's just explore let's say Stoops comes back. How do you make that work? We have tried doing some research on doing the Diego Pavia thing. And not the Diego Pavia thing, but like importing an entire offense from
transplant, the offensive transplant.
Yes.
OC and quarterback.
Yes. One of those was North Texas, who just absolutely had a great opportunity and completely threw up all over themselves. Friday, was that Friday night?
Yes.
Yeah, Friday night against USF. Just puked all over the place. So that was maybe an option. That guy turned his, that quarterback went from nothing to something. He was Patrick Mahomes' quarterback coach. It's like an easy sell when you see the just highlights, but it's not a perfect resume. But that was plausible.
And he's a head coach, and he's in the Oklahoma State mix, so he might just
be
Oklahoma State job.
Yeah. What else?
Eric Morris is his name. Yeah, I think John David Baker at East Carolina with Caton Hauser is one to keep an eye on. John David Baker worked for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. It's kind of a similar offense. Caton Hauser was a 4-star recruit, started at Michigan State, now is there, but they're having a good year. It's not a great year. And it's a tempo offense. And outside of that, it's kind of hard to find. I haven't been able to find one really. Right now, so that's
no obvious.
It might just be one of those years where there's not that, and maybe next year there will be that, but there's not that stands out. So say Stoops does stay, Nick.
Yeah,
you just have to change an offensive coordinator. You don't really have a choice, I don't think.
Correct.
You have to change, and you cannot run pro style back out there. You have to do something different on offense. I don't care if it's option. I don't care if it's wing tee, spread. But you've got to do something different on offense. Different might be someone like Jimbo Fisher. That could be their answer. I don't know if it will work.
We all know Jimbo's well known for his very simple offense that's easy for everyone to run.
Bobby Petrino could be a free agent. Would Mitch sign off on letting Bobby Petrino work under his watch? I highly doubt it. Yeah. Defensively, that whole staff, Nick, expired contracts. They're all working on expiring deals.
Which this is a point about the buyouts that needs to be made, is that while you're paying more this year, if you bring Stoops back to save money, you're going to have to spend, $3 million or more?
Yeah.
At least on new assistant coach. So, if you're trying to save $9 million for next year, well, you're going to have to spend 4.5. Like it's really you're only saving probably $4 million because
Right.
you're gonna have to buy out assistant coach contract.
I believe on those deals, Nick, there's a duty to mitigate. I'd have to go back.
We got to put on our JD hat and be freaking attorneys to do this stinking job.
But like, if there's a duty to mitigate on that, why wasn't there duty to mitigate with the Stoops deal? But I believe there is. So like, Kentucky owes Bush Hamden, I think, $1.6 million next year.
Yeah.
If he goes and is a wide receiver coach somewhere making $400,000, then Kentucky would have to pay $1.2 million.
Yeah.
But to your point, all position coaches pretty much get 2-year deals unless it's special circumstance, like the situation with Derek Shea. And then coordinators typically have gotten 3-year deals.
Yeah.
So if you're Brad White, this feels like the breaking off point. Like I would be surprised. I'm not in Brad's head. I don't know that this to be a fact, but like, is he gonna ink up to sign another 3-year deal with Kentucky after this year?
I doubt it.
So like, you're looking
he needs a refresh. He's a good coach, but he needs a refresh.
You're looking at these massive, like a lot of money you would have to take on. So yes, Stoops' buyout would decrease, but it was still all this money. The thing that you could do, Nick, is if you could renegotiate the buyout with Stoops and figure it out to maybe bring it to a really low number where you could be willing to try that. I don't think there's going to be the patience in the fan base for them to do that.
Nope. And the other part too, like it goes back to what we said at the beginning of the year. Because even if they do try the scheme change, if they try to bring in a general manager, if they make these wholesale changes, which Mark Stoops, well known for being somebody who isn't stubborn whatsoever, if they do decide to make a bunch of changes, who is going to invest the money to have to pay a premium for average players?
Because I mean, Kentucky has a rev share, but you're going to have to. To me, this is really a JMI question. Moving forward, Kentucky, UK, because this year was different because all these deals were front loaded, NIL. So you had to get this money donated to build this roster. But moving forward, you have the rev share figure, so Kentucky's going to pay a certain amount, and then you could circumvent the cap with the NIL. Now, how this works and what gets approved is still a work in progress. But most people think like you're going to need some booster fueled cash to fill the roster you want to fill, specifically if you're trying to build in the portal. So like a lot of this, I think, Nick, falls on JMI. And then like, where are they at? Like, what can you get approved, I guess, outside of that with your booster group? And so that's hard to answer, but yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, is the demand going to be there for that? Well, like for JMI, they would have to probably sell it to, a company and be like, invest in this. And that company be like, why would I want to invest in a losing product?
And the other part too, that the term you like to use is Kentucky's got to pay $1.30 on the dollar for these guys. And these guys are fine. But what were we talking about all preseason? Where are the stars?
Yeah.
I mean, just what? How are you going to find
if you can get a star, Nick, in the portal, just pay the tax. Just get him in the in-house.
Wait, you mean don't dilly-dally around? And
if you got a chance to get him out of Hardy,
just pay the money. Yeah. It's one big fat stinky mess. It's no fun. It doesn't feel great, but it does feel good that it is cool enough now that I can wear my Roback Q-zip. Like it's kind of that sweat wicking material, but it's a lot softer. I don't know. It feels so soft, feels so light. Can't wait to be rocking that at the Krog this Saturday. You can rock your Roback gear and get it for 20% off your first purchase when you use promo code KSR at checkout. Holiday season is right around the corner. Go ahead. Take care of your shopping earlier. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, T-shirts. I got the Blitz Tech shirts are freaking awesome.
Fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got it's one of those where I got one the first time around, and then when Roback re-upped, I was like, oh yeah, we're getting multiple blitz techs. I felt like Josh Pate because I had to get the black one. But the gear, it's great at Roback. Get it today. Promo code KSR, 20% off your first purchase at roback.com. All right, Luckett. I guess we got to talk about this ball game Saturday.
I was going to ask you, I thought you were going to try to sign off. I was like, well, do you want to talk about the game or?
Well,
Here's my take on the game. Just
Okay.
give it right quick.
Yep.
Texas is awesome on defense. It's
Yep.
probably the best defense outside of Ohio State. Kentucky's 2 offensive touchdowns or less streak is probably extending.
Yep.
On Saturday. So for Kentucky to have a chance in this game, the defense has to play well. It has to be a really kind of circle the wagons in strong performance from the defense. If the defense doesn't play well, this ball game probably gets ugly.
There's part of me that wants, if this was if you flip Tennessee and Texas, I would feel okay about this game because I think that they the way that Cutter Boley got comfortable in that last game. I think that Bush kind of figured out his quarterback a little bit and how to play call for him. I think they might have something going offensively, but they need to do it against a defense that will give them a chance to do it, right? And Texas just isn't going to. If this was Tennessee, I would feel much better about this offense having some sort of breakthrough performance. I will note, and this was something that Sark said, or I don't know if it was Sark or there's a lot of talking. But Florida got north-south on him, ran for $160 or so, twice as many yards as anybody's run on him all year. I think it was 159 yards to be exact. You might be able to gash them up front.
Can you do what you did to Georgia last year? Is really kind of control the line of scrimmage and just keep drives alive for a long time and really shorten the game. That would be the rest. To me, if Kentucky hangs around, it would look like how the Georgia game looked last year.
Yeah, and
at home.
You mentioned their starting center being out. I will say Sark is – I don't think he always does this, but he is going way over the top on his, trap game.
Yeah, it's just a clear letdown spot for them.
Yeah. They haven't played an SEC game at home.
Third consecutive game away from home.
Yeah.
At Florida, Red River, at Kentucky.
Yeah, then they get a bye.
Night game. Bye's coming up. They got a lot of big games.
And then conversely, though, it does feel like the way Kentucky's pass defense, and I know DJ Waller is expected to be back, they have to play their best game of the year. They just do. Because if not, they're going to be the antidote for whatever ails Arch Manning.
Arch's legs, QB legs have killed them the last 2 weeks. Can they get that figured out? And then you know what Texas is going to do. They're going to do what every offense has done. They're going to get the ball out in quick game and see if Kentucky can make tackles on the perimeter.
Yep. I noticed the Kentucky team total is 14.5. I've had these moments in the past where I was overly confident in a blowout loss, and it came back to bite me. So I didn't I remembered that, but I did make a responsible wager on them not getting more than 14 points. I also sprinkled shutout 5-1. Or no, it was
no offensive touchdowns.
No, it wasn't that. It was Texas defensive touchdowns, defense special teams, 5-1.
Yeah, Kentucky scored a defensive touchdown in this game last year.
Yeah, Pop Dumas Johnson.
That was one of their 2 touchdowns in the game.
Yeah, but I sprinkled on Texas because of they create some turnovers, and then they got a punt return touchdown last week in Red River.
The Texas defense, we talked about this in the preseason, but they've got stars on every level, like Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill Jr., Michael Taft, Malik Muhammad. The first 3 are All-Americans.
Yeah.
Could be all 3 first-team All-Americans. They've got stars. They tackle really well. They play sound football. The defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski, has been there with Sark since the beginning. This is his 5th year. They're just really, really good.
Did you know him and Bush?
They got a lot of good players. I did.
That was
I just wrote about that last year before the Texas Kentucky game.
I completely forgot about that, but yeah, he coached at Boise when Bush was a player, and then they were on Chris Peterson's staff together at Washington.
Right, worked at Washington. Yeah,
I guess Sark was in it, or did he miss Sark in Atlanta? Bush.
No, he was a position coach under Sark with the Falcons.
Okay.
In one of those years.
One of those assistant quality control.
No, I think he was a receiver coach. Like he was actual position coach.
Interesting. Well, maybe old insider intel will go a long way. Maybe it won't go any way at all. But nevertheless, we'll be there at Kroger Field.
Fascinated, Nick, to just see what the crowd is like.
Yeah. Well, and keep an eye on that forecast too, because they're doing the
it might rain
at night going into Sunday. Like, does that rain start at 7 or does it start at 1?
I'm fully expecting it to be a torrential downpour when we're driving home at 2 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Butt crack of dawn. And we got to write about how they're getting back to work some more. Yeah, it's going to be fun. But, hey, at least it's not the 7:45 game. It's the 7-1. ESPN will be there at the Krog. Hope you all enjoy as much of it as you can. The first time Texas has ever made their way to Kroger Field. We'll talk about all the games tomorrow on the Pigskin Preview. Might be a different time. We got lunch with Dad at school tomorrow, Luckett. So,
big time.
Yeah. So throwing some things off, but we'll get it figured out. We'll be on the YouTubes. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you, Mr. Luckett, all of our fans out there across Big Blue Nation. I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.